Where do you come from? Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
Still on the 6, yeah, but he's there showing off with this nice little folding device. I'm just there being very jealous of his super cool technology.
Well, the only reason I have the 7 is because my 5 camera broke. And we're live with Super PlayStation Bros. What's going on? And we're just chit-chatting. Hope everyone's doing well. We got so much to talk about today. Yes, things are going on with Concord. There's a brand new exclusive game that dropped today to PlayStation 5. What? Did you know that, Dorgon?
I did. I may have done. A lot has happened over the last week, but I'm none the wiser.
And then we got plenty of Astro hype, and then lots of other news all about PlayStation. So strap in and get ready. We're about to go over it all. What's going on, everyone in chat? Thanks for coming on by. And Dorgon, how are you doing this morning? What have you been gaming on, and how have you been over the past week?
I've been great. One of my very good friends decided to message me earlier this week saying that a life goal had been achieved, so I was very happy about that. Don't tell him, but it's that one there. Oh, there, I don't know which way I'm facing. So yeah, Rudy's had some great life news. Life goal achieved. That made me very happy. Outside of that, just good overall vibes. Hitting the gym, feeling better, feeling fit and healthy. And then playing some video games. I've been back in VR, playing quite a bit of Synth Riders. That's got its teeth into me at the moment. Just another sort of action rhythm game. Great fun, really enjoying that one. I've been continuing my Forspoken journey. There's been new content in Destiny 2, which I've dived into and had a great time with that as well. That was a lovely, positive update, I personally thought. And then yesterday we got Quidditch Champions released on PlayStation Plus, and I've been diving into that one because apparently if you're British, you have to play Quidditch. This is what Rudix has told me, so I'm just abiding by the rules. I've been all over the show playing loads of different things, whereas I think yourself, it's been basically the one thing with a couple of outliers as per normal.
As per normal, we get into the weekly Helldivers 2 shenanigans, getting up, blowing up stuff, and actually, with the new content update, they've increased the difficulty to level 10. So I've just been having a blast on Super Helldive, tearing it up, looking for that penis rock. That's the main objective. It's the main objective, and they know what they did. They know what they did, and everyone says it all the time.
They know what they did. But you know what you did as well, saying it in your streams. I watch this in the background at work because you're on at like 3 a.m. for me when you go live with your Helldivers streams. So I put it on during the day at work, and there are occasions where I'm just typing away and you guys say penis rock and I type it into whatever email or document or whatever that I'm working on. And this is not a good thing.
Yes, hopefully maybe soon we'll get that VR room back and I'll be joining the ranks of the Helmet Pros. We'll see.
Woo! Yeah, bring it.
Yeah. Yes, new house, moving in next month after some renovations, so we'll see how that goes, but extremely happy about it. But yes, what I've been gaming on, we definitely have Black Myth Wukong. I did the final ending, the hidden secret path at the end of the game made you do a lot of things that I won't want to spoil. But I will say the game was an 8 out of 10 until I got to chapter 5. Then it was a 9 out of 10. Chapter 6, 10 out of 10. End game, 11 out of 10. Like, it just stepped up and up and up every single chapter, every single segment, combat, story, the things that were changing in terms of gameplay mechanics. I'll give it up to Game Science. They did a great job. And absolutely. Now I'm done with it, though. Oh, I got something in my eye. But yeah, it's a little sad, little bittersweet. To get the platinum, I'd have to beat the game 4 times over, which is aggressive, but Sekiro required something very similar. I feel like that's how it is on the vein of these games. It brings replayability. The only way I'll come back to it is if they announce DLC. Then I'll probably go in there and try to get the platinum. But for now, it's sitting. It's I'm glad I finished it.
Does it have to be 4 full playthroughs, or can you save state it so you get to a certain point? Doesn't matter what you do up until that point, then get to that point, save state it, and just run the other 3 branching paths from that point, or does it have to be from the beginning and choices you make and such?
So the elements that you need are 2 collectible items. They're 2 crafting materials that you get in chapter 5, and I believe you need 8 of them to get the all the achievements. So you actually have to get to that point in chapter 5, get the material, and then keep playing, go all the way around, get back to chapter 5, get the material, go all the way around.
Oh man,
In
that is
addition,
tough.
yeah, you fill out every time you beat a chapter, it's a milestone ability you get, and you've got to fill out every single one. So you have to actually beat that every chapter 3 times.
Yeah, sod that one. I feel personally, like if you played the game and enjoyed the game, don't ruin it by just overplaying it. Yeah, come back to it at another point when you're feeling it, sort of thing.
Hey, what's going on, Geek to Sneak and Wilson? Good news to hear. I'm glad that was seeming a little bit frustrating, so I'm glad it's sorted. But other than that, I jumped back into Nine Souls. It's coming to PlayStation soon, and I really think it's a little something special. 100% recommend it. It's a really good one, and I cannot wait for Astrobot coming around the corner in, what did you send me a picture of, 38 hours or something like that?
Yeah, the
We're definitely
countdown in
less
game's
now.
changed.
Yeah.
It's now just counted down hours, minutes, and seconds, and there is going to be an in-game launch event when that thing hits 0. So you want to be inside Astro's playroom for when Astrobot launches.
What? I didn't know that. Now I have to. Clear
Yeah.
the schedule. Clear what time is this going to be? Now I'm panicking. Wait.
There's a countdown in game. I can't tell you exactly. Just go and look at the clock. It'll tell you.
When did you send me that message? So you said that was 38
I
hours
sent you
ago?
that about a week ago. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be there celebrating with Astrobot. I picked up the achievement grabbing that ape escape monkey, rescue the ape escape. So I'm fully ready, locked in, loaded to go. Dorgon, I will ask you though, are you going to be there on launch or do you have to wait for the physical version?
I pre-ordered the physical version of
Yeah.
Astrobot, so I've ordered it from Shop 2. They're normally very good. It arrives
Okay.
either the day before release or the day of release. I've
Nice.
never received it past midday, so they're very good at getting it out, getting it delivered on time. I've got no qualms with that company at all. They're fantastic, unless they leak the launch date of certain things, as we've reported on previously. I've got a great relationship with them so far. They've done everything right by me. So yeah, I went there to order from those guys. I get some pre-order bonuses through them as well that are different to what you get through the PlayStation Store. Some actual nice like physical keyrings and such of Astrobot. So yeah, looking forward to all of that coming, and I will be playing after work on launch day.
Well, there it is. Lots of exciting things coming up for PlayStation. And why don't we jump into the news this week? Because it is a loaded week. Some things happened to PlayStation which have been a little bit of the talk of the town. Um, man, I have this article up, but I just want to talk about a different game. But let's do this. PS Plus premium 2 classics with the freebie updated. So I was looking at this, I believe it's Doom 1 and Doom 2, the
Yep.
enhanced versions. Um hey, those are fun to go back, some retro gaming. Doom is a classic. We were talking about it on the download. This is actually a game that AI reproduced on a neural node, which is pretty cool. So there's Doom has always been kind of like that benchmark for gaming, centers around gaming. I believe there's even a Doom 3 on the VR, which is extremely popular. So great title, great to have as part of your retro lineup, and fun to go back in time.
Yeah, it's a lovely update because they actually removed Doom 1 and 2 from the Classics catalog last month. Apparently, the reason that they were doing that was to bring these enhanced editions, which does everything from bringing cross-play, which PlayStation players didn't have previously, to all of the enhanced additionals, DLCs, add-ons, even mod support. So there are some officially supported mods for Doom 1 and 2 that you could get on every other platform but couldn't on PlayStation previously. You can now do that. So this is a really positive update. It's just a shame that it sort of came with no communication. So they didn't tell us that they were taking it off of PlayStation Plus last month, didn't tell us that they were re-adding this as the replacement, the better versions thereof. But it does mean that anybody who plays these games, enjoys these games, and wants to jump back into them now has massive lobbies and matchmaking ability to play with. So lots of positivity this one. I just wish there'd been communication around it.
Yeah, and PlayStation, just hit me up with an email. Dorgon and I will let the people know through Super PlayStation Bros what is happening. Officially requesting to be a PlayStation ambassador. But big shout out there. We're letting you know. So keep it here. The unofficial PlayStation ambassadors, Dorgon and Rudigs. But let's talk about the juiciness that happened this week.
We
Oh,
have to so quickly. Are we getting into it this soon?
so quickly. I mean, it's the second one on the thing. Here we go. Fine. We'll talk
Should I
about
go get a whiskey or something to get through this? I feel like this is going to be intense.
it's. I mean, it is. It is what it is. Listen, everybody. We've obviously heard the news about Concord. And so Sony is taking Concord offline on September 6th after a disastrous launch, literally giving it no time to survive and taking it down right before Astro launches live. I'm not sure if they're looking for this to just be a blip on the radar. We were talking backstage earlier before. I mean, it seems like they didn't even make enough money to cover the servers that the game was running on. To me, this seems like a miss on reading the market. I've seen Wibble's comment where he was saying that it was built for a marketplace that was 5 years ago. We're at a place in the industry where people see PvP, and if there's no AI element, you're not fighting a boss, it's only person versus person, you shouldn't be charging a premium dollar amount for it. And that was just a marketplace of 5 years ago. So I will have to agree to that point. I think to bring it to more of a price factor for today's market, you would need to add a single player campaign, give us 10 levels with bosses, and we would have to have some sort of horde mode, some sort of extra addition, because these were the three pillars of video games that we used to get with FPS. Call of Duty still follows this tradition very closely, and I just think they were trying to break the paradigm, kind of come in the middle, and unfortunately the market didn't receive it as well. Even though personally I enjoyed the game, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was great teamwork. focused game and a PvP experience I'd never had before and actually enjoyed. But I'll give you your thoughts. Those were my thoughts on it. I've just been rambling.
It's such a shame. I absolutely loved my time with Concord. It was made more disappointing for me because I cashed in my PlayStation Stars rewards yesterday to get store credit to the point of being able to buy Concord. I was going to go to the gym after work, which I did do. And then once I got home from the gym, I was going to buy Concord with my PlayStation Store credit earned from PlayStation Stars. And it's just on my way home, the news broke, and I was crushed because I'd been looking forward to this game. I couldn't afford it at launch. So I'd been saving my PlayStation Stars credit because I knew I was this far off, and with a couple of the monthly ones that offer you coin rewards, I'd be able to then afford Concord just from PlayStation Stars rewards, basically not costing me anything, but giving something to the developers. And I didn't even get the chance to buy it less than 2 weeks after its launch. And I have never been in a situation like that before. I've been into a store previously where I've saved up, gone to the store, and they've got no physical copies of it available. But I've never had a situation where I've never been able to buy the digital copy for the simple reason they took it off 2 weeks after. I'm very much in two minds about this. On the one hand, if it's sold as bad as industry analysts think, bear in mind, it only was about 57th bestseller on the PlayStation top sellers list. And didn't even break 700 concurrent players on Steam. So if it's sold as bad as the industry analysts think, I understand taking that step back, taking it offline, rather than hosting these servers, rather than just wasting money whilst they try to come up with some way to save it like Anthem did. Take it offline, go back to the drawing board, do something different. As you say, I think if they just add a single player campaign into it, they've already got the story set out because it's what they were going to be doing with the vignettes. They can do different gameplay styles. They can do different objectives within that. They could bring co-op into it if they so fancied. As you said, they could also throw something like a horde mode in there. If they actually put the time, effort, and money into it to save it, and improve it and give it that multi-pronged attack, like you said, I think that would be a positive thing. I think if it came back with a single player mode, especially after the reception that Overwatch got for cancelling its single player story mode, there would be a place in the market for it, and it would be much bigger than what it had this time. I think it faced a multitude of problems. One was people keep saying they don't want microtransaction filled games. They just want to buy a game outright and get everything. But when a game comes out like that, they then don't buy it. So they're a bit hypocritical and two-faced in what they want and what they do. People wanted Overwatch. This was not Overwatch. They want a different Overwatch because Overwatch is so bad. They want to move away from that game, but there's nothing else like it. And there is no point in other people making Overwatch again just with a different skin atop it, because it won't do any well. They'll just call it an Overwatch clone. Sony then didn't market this game. I've come across multiple people on social media who are like, wait, this game actually launched? I didn't even know it was coming out. What is it? What's going on? Terrible, terrible marketing. And then there was a driven hate campaign against the game. There's people who frequent this chat who have been part of that hate campaign since day one without even going hands-on with it. When a few of those have created some of the worst games ever to launch in history, I don't think they've got a leg to stand on and say anything about it. Yet everybody's gone after Concord because it's the hip and cool thing to do, and because it's, oh, woke and all this sort of crap. No, you're just an idiot, it's essentially is what I'm saying there. But the game itself I loved. It was one of the tightest shooters that I have played in the last 5 years. The only thing that is better than it is Destiny 2 as a shooter, but that's gone so ability heavy, there's no just solid gunplay in that game anymore. So to have a game that feels like the gunplay that I adore and is competitive, and as you said, has this team balance, has the ability to do like a 2v1 or a 1v3 and whatever the case may be, I think is absolutely fantastic. But a multitude of factors, the silence of Sony, once again, the launch point was terrible. There was Outlaws, Wukong, and a bunch of others all coming out at the same time. And when you've got no marketing around your game, it's not really going to get the time of day. And then just a concentrated hate campaign. I enjoyed it. It was great. But obviously, if it's not making money, the studio can't then survive to make the next one. So rather than waste time and effort and finances, take it offline, go back to the drawing board, do something different. The bones are there to build a great single player campaign. Make it and let us play it. And I think that would do everything it needs to. And if you need to make the multiplayer element of that free to play and just have the single player behind that £40 paywall, I still think you'll do gangbusters with such a thing. But yeah, it's very disappointing because I had just got the money to go and buy it.
Well, it is an unprecedented move. Sony will axe Concord on September 6th, just 2 weeks after the high-budget first-person shooter was released. This multi-million-dollar blunder goes beyond disaster, writes Push Square, and they are putting under the microscope kind of whose decision. Obviously, Jim Ryan was CEO at the beginning of this inception, this idea. And then Herman Holtz really championed it after he took co-CEO position. Listen, I think people... Pardon?
Herman Holtz was the head. Herman Holtz was the head of PlayStation Studios. What that meant, whilst Jim Ryan was in place, is he's the guy who pushed for new studios to come on board. He's the guy who pushed for certain projects to be made, to be funded by PlayStation. He saw Concord and had a real soft spot for it. And I understand why, personally. I do. I see that game, I've played that game, and I've got a soft spot for it because it is a PvP shooter that I can get on with. There are so few of those in this world. It actually has good matchmaking. It actually has good gameplay. It's one of the tightest shooters I've played outside of Destiny. It's great. But he championed that so hard and pushed just that, and just the multiplayer angle of it, not understanding that PlayStation has built its brand on these massive single-player experiences, these high-quality, narratively driven, exceptional titles. And there is a place for that multiplayer. But we just had multiplayer only in Helldivers 2. We had multiplayer only announced in Fair Games as well, which is also a PlayStation exclusive. We've got Destiny 2, which is a PlayStation Studios game. And Herman just keeps pushing the same sort of thing and championing the same sort of thing. He brought Concord to Jim Ryan. He is to blame here. It is all on Herman Holst, who was the head of the PlayStation Studios at the time, overlooking all of the software development, and he's now a co-CEO. The buck has to stop with him. Jim Ryan, whilst yes, he approved it, it was on Herman Holst's presentation that it was done so.
Yeah, but he also made Horizon. Maybe you just stick to single-player games.
That's the thing. Know your demographic. Like,
yeah.
There is a place in the world for a game like Concord, with similar like setups as we've seen in other games, where it's got more than just the multiplayer. But sometimes you feel like you're getting half a game. I felt exactly the same with the original Overwatch. That was a £40 game. That was multiplayer only. That was a 5v5 hero shooter that we had tons of over time. And again, it was a saturated market, but because it was from Blizzard, that Blizzard name gave it a bit of a free pass. People threw money at it and they ended up enjoying it. But not everybody can do that. Yes, PlayStation Studios backing you will get you so far. But if PlayStation Studios don't talk about it openly, and PlayStation Studios keep bringing games that players don't want, we haven't had a single-player exclusive title since Spider-Man 2 in October. We're about to get the next one 11 months later in Astro. That's an unprecedented gap between the type of game that PlayStation players want and clamor for. You can have these in between those titles, but the cadence of those single players needs to be greater. And that will then allow these to have a better foothold, because you're then waiting for the next excellent PlayStation Studios title to come out. But when you're going live service to live service to live service with gaps of 3, 4, and 6 months between them, it's not what your demographic wants.
No, I completely agree. And they've had to sort of bolster the gaps with third-party exclusives, which I have enjoyed, but it's tough sailing out in this generation. They really need to not make this the standard. I thought we were going for one game a quarter, and now we're not even getting that. So it's really unfortunate. And it's just the production of game. At this point, I know you're not a big advocate of AI, but honestly, somebody needs to kick these people in the butt and get games out onto production. And if AI fills the gap of this busy work that needs to be getting games out
Games will be
quicker and
worse.
faster.
No. If we throw AI at it, the games will be worse because they're just derivative at that point. There's nothing new, nothing
It gives
interesting
people
with
more
AI
time
anything.
to think about new
What they
things.
need to do is focus less on things like the way a grain of sand falls out of a bag and more on the gameplay. If you look at the Quidditch Champions that's gone on PS Plus this month, graphically it looks like a PlayStation 2 game. I'm not going to lie about that one. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game. It's graphically terrible, but its gameplay is good. It's not great. It's not like a Game of the Year contender or anything, but it's good enough to bolster everything else. If the game comes out and has excellent gameplay, as Palworld showed us earlier this year, the graphics don't matter. If it comes out and has excellent gameplay, as Animal Well showed us earlier this year, the graphics don't matter. There is so much focus on hyperrealism, on things that gamers don't notice, don't care about. We don't give a damn about ray tracing. It doesn't do anything in game. Get rid of it, get the game out the door quicker. We don't care about a grain of sand falling out of a bag that we literally will never see until you point it out on social media. Get the game out the door quicker. The reason things do well is because they have fun gameplay and a good gameplay loop, excellent stories, engaging mechanics. It's nothing to do with how they look. And AI is not going to help in any of that. It's just going to be derivative. Everybody's going to look like Nathan Drake. Everybody's going to move like Sekiro. And all gaming will become boring if we start throwing AI at it. That it has no place in video game creation, in art of any sort. It should be in the medical field, solving cancer. It should be finding out how to cure cancer. That's what AI should be doing, not stealing art from people.
It can do both. We need some help
Oh yes,
here, but
it could go thieving. Yeah, that's such a positive thing to put out there.
well, I'm gonna keep moving on. There is a little bit more collateral damage from Concord as well. Because if you remember from the game festival thing that happened very recently, I just draw a blank. Secret Level announced the Amazon Prime anthology show. Well, guess what? One of them was about Concord. And what are the producers going to do? Very odd. They obviously played way too much into this. Now, that being said, this could be the perfect time to bring a revival back into Concord. They could launch it free to play right at the moment when the show hits and really have that big hype around it if it does well. But honestly, this is a massive blunder. They just pulled the plug way too fast, and now we're in a situation where I was kind of looking forward to seeing PlayStation do a show with Concord and having all that background and playing it, and now not so much.
I don't think this is a blunder. I think this is a bit of a blessing in disguise. How many gamers heard about Concord? You've seen it across social media. I've seen it across social media. The reason we knew about it, the reason people in chat here knew about it, is because we are engrossed in it. We are the hardcore. We are the 1% who read everything there is to know about gaming, who watch everything there is to know about gaming, who play as much as we possibly can. We are the very few people who might just get some value out of these video game subscriptions. The rest of the gaming industry, every other player, the other 99%, are not like us. There was no marketing around Concord. I haven't seen a single YouTube advert for it, let alone a television advert for it. So this getting a full episode in this Amazon series later this year, alongside exquisite titles that a lot of the gaming community know about, like God of War, like Armored Core 6, like Ghost of Tsushima, like the one that everybody knows, which is Pac-Man, to sit alongside these incredible characters in this television show could give it the boost that it needs. People suddenly start latching onto it. They see this show. What was the player count of Fallout after that show succeeded? What was the player count of The Last of Us after that show succeeded? If that episode of Concord goes, not Concord, Secret Level goes well for Concord, if it's received well, that is the beginning of a marketing campaign that could see the revival of the title. If they are able to get a horde mode, a co-op mode included, and re-release that at that time, and maybe even drop it on the same day as that episode, as a free-to-play, and then bring a single player with a charge later down the line, and that's a one-time fee, it could secretly be very, very good for the game. Like I say, we are the few. Everybody talking crap about Concord at the moment and putting all of this content out there. We are such a small portion of the video game industry, of video game players. There's 99% of the rest of them who haven't even heard of it yet. So a good episode of this Secret Levels from Amazon later this year could be a damn good catalyst for it.
Also, I've come to a new suspicion that I'm going to be running with as my new theory on Concord. This is all a marketing. Why would they shut it down in 2 weeks? Listen, Helldivers 2 got his biggest reverse up curve after a month because people were sharing it on social media. It was a phenomenon what happened to that game. And I think shutting down Concord is all marketing. I think it's just a ploy in making big buzz and everyone's talking about it. Now everyone's going to know about this Concord game. Show's going to hit. Concord's going to come back. This was all the plan. Numbers are going to skyrocket. And Herman Holtz is going to be sitting back like Mr. Burns. Excellent. It's all a plan, people. And we're just falling in with all the people. You got to look from the 4D. And that's how you figure it out. He's playing 4D chess.
Oh, I don't get 4D. I've been trying to teach my other half chess. Apparently, she never learned it through school or anything like that, which I find baffling. But yeah, I've been trying to teach her normal chess. I'll leave 4D chess for a few years down the line. Yeah. Do you want to address some of the messages in chat before we move on to anything else?
Oh my gosh, sure. Chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for contributing. I've been trying to reach out and talk to you guys, but absolutely. Do you want to grab one? I don't know where to start.
I'll pick on Maker of Chaos first. He put one in there saying, my co-workers were talking about Concord closing. They were shocked PlayStation shut down a game. They said they were too busy with other games at the moment and were going to pick it up later. That's pretty much exactly the situation I was in. I didn't have the finances. There were other games out around the same time, and I've just got the money for it. The day that I got the finances to be able to buy it, they took it off sale. I couldn't even purchase it if I wanted to and just play the game for these final few days. So I completely understand that one. There's people who just haven't got round to it yet, and there's folks who are going to be disappointed, again, like myself, like Maker's co-workers, who we're going to pick it up later, which is absolutely fine as well. But I do also understand it costs a lot to keep these multiplayer servers online. And if you haven't got the population now to sustain it up to a point where people are ready to buy it, maybe a secondary launch around that episode of Secret Level would be a better idea. Do you think similar?
I think that, oh, I was trying to respond to chat. SOCOM, I think, would be a huge shout out. We got Understanding saying that he wants to bring back Killzone or other games like that, older IPs like Factions. I'm actually a little bit confused why they trusted Bungie to shut down Factions, and then months later they tore apart Bungie's managing directors. It doesn't seem like they're going down the right move. Gem is also saying Sony should focus on more co-op games. they're trying
2042.
to
I
do
don't
that.
think there's room to talk there.
They're trying to do that, and they just don't seem to be hitting the right mark here. And I'm not sure what to do to really help them in this case, or if they have a path to really do it. I honestly think this may be a form of guerrilla marketing. It may all be a plan to get Concord even bigger numbers when the show releases. Because why not try something different to make your game stand out? To shut it down after 2 weeks is aggressively too fast. But they do have a history. People are shouting out about Mag in the chat. Wibblesniff brings it up. This is a game that Sony also shut down, right? That was a live service game, PvP, gone after, I believe, 6 months. So it's hard to hit, and you roll the dice, and is it Snake Eyes, or are they going to try again? Why did they give up so quickly on Concord? I mean, I would have been right there with you, like you said, going there, getting it, picking it up on maybe the first price discount, or maybe when I got enough PS points, or maybe when I just got a spare time because I was playing Black Myth to Astro bot, and then maybe I'd jump onto Concord later. So it's like, dude, you gave me 2 weeks. What if somebody was on vacation and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that when I get back? And no, they can't.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation. Understanding saying we need factions or the second coming of Killzone. Both of those games in their last releases didn't do numbers. The reason the second factions, the sort of more live service factions, was cancelled was development costs were spiraling out of control. They were beyond any of the single player games already, and it was nowhere near launching. So at that point, there's a lot of people who talk about the sunken cost fallacy, where you get to a point where you're so far in, you may as well see it through to the end. If there's light at the end of the tunnel, yes, but Factions was nowhere near launching. And what do you want to wait another 5-10 years for something to launch that's then 5-10 years out of date? Factions in The Last of Us 1 didn't last long at all. There were people playing that consistently for about 3 months. Trying to find a match after that point was nigh on impossible. It was great when you actually got into a match, when you were playing, it was fantastic. But you then had to get into private servers there afterwards, or private Discord servers, to be able to match up with people of vastly different skill sets to get a game at all. Just trying to match make off the PlayStation 3, you were not getting a good game. You weren't getting a game at all more than half of the time. So I kind of understand that one going by the wayside, because it didn't have the population from previously. There's games out there that have great multiplayer options, like Uncharted on the PlayStation side of things. The Uncharted 4 multiplayer is still live. It's still running. There's still people playing it. Why are they not publishing that? Why are they not marketing that? And I agree, Killzone's great, but Killzone Shadowfall, again, dropped off and had basically no one playing it in 4 to 6 months. And that was at the launch of the PlayStation 4. There wasn't a lot of content around at that time, and people had already moved on at that point. So I personally completely appreciate both of those titles. But if they're dropping off and this new IP isn't hitting, there has to be a complete reassessment. Is live service the right way, or should you just do multiplayer attached to a really solid single player or co-op player game?
And that is the question. I think that's a good question, and I think that is really the crux of it. PlayStation needs that single player to bring it in. I mean, to be honest, all these characters kind of feel empty, but if there was a single player campaign, each level explored each character and their backstory, you'd feel more of a connection. Oh, this is my favorite level. This is why I picked this guy. Like, they didn't do enough, and I feel like it was half-baked. And it's just frustrating, because if you're a PlayStation fan, if you're a super PlayStation bro like us, you take the wins, but you also have to take the losses. And
you do, yeah.
And this one is
an interesting one.
Oh yes, I wanted to get to Wibble. Did you say Wibs? Yes. Serious question. Yeah. Do you think other devs will see this and be more cautious to release stuff? Dorgon, you answer.
I think the devs would if it were left up to the devs. We've seen it a lot of the time. You've spoken about it on the download with the panel there. I've spoken about it on multiple different videos. What the devs want and what the investors want, and what a bunch of articles I've been reading about today are talking about is you've got non-video game investors coming in and investing in new projects. They want them to balloon, and they've got this idea of this massively high ceiling for profits. Video games have always been a low ceiling for profits, enough that you could keep things turning over, keep things moving, and what have you, but never enough to invest millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, billions of dollars even, and get your money back at any point in the next 20 years. It's just not feasible for what video games are because of the people who play them and the people who can afford to play them at that point. The higher you price them, the less people will be able to play, sort of thing. I think if it were devs alone, they would look at what has happened with Concord and definitely take a different approach. However, you've got CEOs who seem to be completely out of touch in the likes of Herman Holst, in the likes of Phil Spencer. Neither of them have got any idea about the industry, and they are just driving their respective companies into the ground at the moment. So maybe both of them need to go, and you need, I don't know, someone with a better idea of how actual gamers are able to play, want to play, and purchase at the moment. Like, the hardware side of PlayStation seems to have it right with Nisano-san, but the software side doesn't. But you've got investors who've got this, as we said earlier, the sunken cost fallacy. They put money in, they want this game out to get their money back, but they don't understand how the industry works. So you are going to see many, many, many more failures, like Suicide Squad, like Concord, like Gollum, like King Kong last year. You're going to see so many more of these titles release before any of them start to get an idea of what actually makes money in this industry. So unfortunately, I think the answer is no.
I would say, I think the last, oh my god, we've been on Concord for a while. The last thing I'll say on this is that I think the one thing we've learned is the marketplace has spoken. If you're just going to offer PvP content, they say it should be free to play. If you're not offering any kind of AI to battle, single player campaign, co-op mode, something along that source, you can't be paying. That's the only way to earn monetary. And I think we've seen the marketplace kind of say that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, enough Concord. Sorry, people. Concord is
Dead for now.
We'll be back. We'll be back. I guarantee it'll be coming back stronger than ever. I wanted to say before the other points on the show on the title, so I don't not go over these things. Astrobot 2 is coming out September 6th, 2 days away. Dorgon, tell me about that thing that you told me backstage, because I didn't even know. If you're all Astrobot fans, be ready in Astro Playroom, right?
That wasn't backstage. That was at the start of the show. Are you okay, mate?
Yeah, maybe not. I feel like we just went on Concord for so long that I'm lost in the crossfire. You know what I mean?
I will reiterate for those who weren't here.
Thank you.
There is a countdown in-game in Astro's Playroom right now. And Astro's Playroom is the one that is included on every single PS5 when you purchase it. It's still one of the best experiences on the PS5 nearly 4 years later. That countdown is to the launch of Astrobot, the technical third title this guy's been in, the second PS5 title he's been in. And come launch, that countdown will end, and there is a launch event planned within Astro's Playroom. If you have also retrieved the 4 secret bots from Astro's Playroom, that save progress will transfer into Astrobot. So make sure that you get those 4 secret bots, and if you are able, be there in Astro's Playroom in front of the doorway for the launch event in-game for when Astrobot itself launches.
Yeah, that was, I guess you said it at the top of the show. I misremembered, but absolutely, I'll be doing that, getting ready for the Astrobot celebration. And guess what? We have a hint that Astrobot 2 is already planned, and we thought we'd let you all know. A trophy description says, "See you in the next Astro adventure," which means I believe they must have had a better showing on this one, and they're pumped for Team Asobi to do another one. And this is what they're good at, right? The single player adventures, the experiences that bring you in, that are fun to share, good for the family. Astrobot deserves its own show, not Concord, just saying. But can't wait. I'm on the hype train. And to be honest, I need it. Wilson was saying this morning, he's like, dude, you wake up and you play Nine Souls. Like, that's got to be like so brutal. You need a chill game. And I'm like, yes, I cannot wait until Astrobot. Because it's going to be nice, chill, colorful. And the music, I am Astro. Yes, yes, the time.
No, no. Ironically, as you were talking, the money for Astrobot has been taken from my account, and I've got a delivery notification for tomorrow.
Oh,
I will have
nice.
Astrobot tomorrow.
Yeah, Maker.
Yeah,
We were just saying that the special countdown inside. But definitely wanted to get to that. Also Harry Potter, like you said, available on the PS Plus. And I wanted to talk about one thing. They fundamentally changed the game of Quidditch, it seems, uh, to make it a better playable experience, right? They changed the golden snitch. So no longer does it end the game. You now grab it, it gives you 30 points, and you can go back and forth 10, 10, 10, 10. So I think that's a better addition. I mean, just grabbing it and ending the game is kind of brutal, but it's very cinematic and story forth.
it's. It, I'm in two minds about it. I played the Quidditch World Cup game back on the PlayStation 2 that I absolutely adored. And you had to score points to build up your Seeker's Bar. When your Seeker's Bar was full, that was when you could then try and catch the snitch. And you could lose the snitch during that gameplay segment. So it wasn't a dead set thing that you would catch it, that you would end the game, that you would score the 150 points. What you would do sometimes if you were behind was fill that bar as quickly as possible if you were able to turn it around and start scoring points and coming back, and purposely not catch the snitch so that you had a chance to win the game with the 150 points. Making the snitch worth 30 and recatchable time and time again as a way to get further ahead or as a means to catch up if you were behind, it does make sense from a balance perspective. And it not ending the game going a length of time, is more in line with what other sports do in the world. But Quidditch was different. Like, you could have games. I had a game with my brother once where we, because you can have two seekers going for it and knock the other one off, sort of thing. We were playing for about 5 hours this one game of Quidditch. I ended up winning it by 10 points by catching the snitch for 150, and it ended the game and me going just ahead. So I really enjoyed that. That's a great memory. But as an adult, I don't really have 5 hours to spend on one game of Quidditch every single time I play. So, very much in two minds about it. It plays well. I like the way that the game plays. I was playing it yesterday. I will be playing it again this evening after we finish here. But I don't know. I want the snitch to be 150 points. I want that moment of either absolutely demolishing the enemy or coming back and winning it from what looks like a hopeless position.
Well, that's Quidditch. This, you either hate it or you don't like it. People want to stay true to the rules or they like the better balancing. I don't know. I've actually never played Quidditch, but I look forward to booting it up and giving it a try. It should be something chill to do, so I'll definitely have fun there. It's not chill? No?
It's one of the hardest sports games I have played in years.
Really?
Seriously. Like, it's good. It's great. The mechanics are fine. Everything is well balanced. It's just I'm used to, your FIFAs, your Formula Ones, your NBA 2Ks and all that, where you just press a button and cool stuff happens. You've got to make it happen. It's quite tough.
Well, I'd have to try it for myself. I was kind of upset to hear that that Harry Potter game didn't have Quidditch in it. I'm like, it was kind of an off one. But anyways, I digress. We need to get through the topics. Spider-Man 2 DLCs 1, 2, and 3. What? No, this is a mock-up. But I definitely believe we could see a Spider-Man 2 DLC being announced at the State of Play. Please give us some new content in that game. Would be epic to see, and I think we are owed it. I need to see what happens to Carnage. They left that at such a cliffhanger at the end. So please give us some more,
what
right?
happens to Carnage. Not this game, that's next game. Like Venom in the last game, you won't see Carnage until the next one.
This game.
No, you won't see it. I'm sorry. That's next game alongside the Green Goblin.
Or maybe, you fight Carnage, but he gets away after the boss fight, and then you see him in the next game. Listen, there's stuff they could do. They already took away the Great Web, the multiplayer. They already took away Twisted Metal, which I think would have been better than Concord, just saying. But we digress. I just wanted to bring that up because I think it was Understanding said I needed some Spider-Man 2 DLC in my life, and this reminded me of what I saw there.
Yeah.
I kept checking for
hear anything about it.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to rush through because I know we spent half an hour on Concord.
I was just saying on the Spider-Man DLC, like, if we are going to get any news about it, it's going to be either at the Tokyo Game Show, which I doubt unless they're doing a big blowout showcase, which we've not heard anything about, or it's going to be at that State of Play that is rumored to happen towards the end of September, which, why are you doing the Tokyo Game Show and the State of Play side by side? Mind blown. It doesn't seem sensible unless they're just doing everything for the Japanese audience with Tokyo Game Show like they did with the Chinese Game Show. I forgot the name of it. I'm terrible. I do apologize. But yeah, if we're getting any Spider-Man DLC, which we know has been in the works, there's files within the game that have been data mined to find out what it's kind of based around and such, then I would expect to hear something around Tokyo Game Show, and I'd expect a release around August, a year after launch, based on what happened with the likes of God of War and their Valhalla DLC.
Well, moving on to this one, PlayStation Plus subscribers surprised as they are getting Final Fantasy 16 for free. Now, I went to go check this, and I didn't have it accessible on my PlayStation, so it didn't hit Canada. I'm not sure if this got officially announced in the past 4 days, but I don't believe it. I think it was a mistake, because I've not seen anything official on this one, and I already own the game, so I didn't get to see really if it was PlayStation Plus, but I never saw the plus sign.
I also went to check this one. I believe it was Jez Corden and a few others like Tom Warren and co on social media who started to point this out. Once I first saw it, I went to check it immediately and then a day later. Wasn't there immediately, but a day later it was. Now, I own the physical version of Final Fantasy 16, so I can't play the digital version or stream it through my PlayStation Plus subscription because I only own the physical one and it doesn't work that way. But I could just play it without the disc inserted. So it does appear to now be on PlayStation Plus. Whether that is a mistake, whether it's meant to be coming in the next update, that's meant to be the big headline title sort of thing, I don't know, but at least for a week it's been there. It might have disappeared on Tuesday with the store update. We will have to see.
That'd be interesting if they release it on PC and at the same time it comes onto PlayStation Plus. Could be a good marketing strategy there.
Yeah, it would definitely increase player numbers and maybe sell more DLC as well.
Yes, I still got to get to that DLC at one point. I did want to drop in this a little bit. I can't remember if we talked about this on the last show or not because the news was so close to a week ago. But the PS5 Pro got a leaked design and it has sleek racing strips.
Yeah, this was like half an hour after the show last week that this dropped.
Okay, that's why I was like, did we talk about this one? So sleek racing stripes, this was seen by a person who works for a magazine. Apparently they got a sneak peek, and then from memory, They recreated this image. Looking very similar to the PlayStation standard model, except everybody knows racing stripes make things better. What are your thoughts? Do you think we'll see a PS5 Pro look like this, or do you think we'll see something different entirely?
If we see a PS5 that looks like that, it's a hard no from me because there is no disk drive. Now, I am hoping that is one model of it, like they've done with the current PS5. You've got your disc version, your digital version of the OGs, like you and I have, or of the slim model, you've got the one model with a disk drive that you can put on the side. Now, if it does do that, that's great. But if there's no disk drive, it's a hard no. That is 90% of my game catalog that I then can't play. So it's a hard no from me if it's a digital only device, and it's going to be the same for a lot of gamers. If it is a case of it's like the Slim and you can take one side off and install a disk drive that's just bought separately or bundled with it if you want the disc version, whatever the case may be, looks fine. It's meant to run a lot cooler and be a lot quieter, which is absolutely great. There have been times this year I've not been able to turn the PlayStation 5 on because it heats my living room up. And the living room was already at like 30 plus degrees Celsius, and my partner has a chronic illness that is temperature sensitive. So turning the PlayStation 5 on would absolutely cripple her. So to have a cooler running, quieter console would be a huge benefit from a literal health perspective in my household, and it would be a definite consideration to buy. But like I say, needs to have that disk drive for me.
I think that you were right. They'll do what they do with the Slim, and they'll just sell the modular disk drive, and it'll be able to attach in. And I think that the Wave is digital. Digital. I know you're not a big fan, but I believe we saw.
How well is that going for Concord owners?
I thought digital was the only way to refund it. Can you not you can't refund the physical because the stores won't take it back.
Don't know how that's working. There are so many physical copies out there. Again, social media talking about physical copies. Like, if digital's the future, we have got no consumer rights, and I am not here for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of their plan.
Well, yeah, obviously that's part of their plan. So I'm putting my foot down, and I am imploring everybody to put their foot down with me.
I don't want to drive to the store.
Get it delivered to your home, dude. There are these things called courier services.
But they're so unreliable, and then I gotta be home. I live in Canada. There's so much space in between each house.
I forgot you're in Canada, and like you guys get lost walking further than like 3 meters somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some other things before the end here. Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC hopes to reignite it by suspicious Steam updates. So all of you who are a fan of the Dogma, we are getting possible DLC added. Listen, I think this is Game of the Year bait. I think it definitely could get a nom. It just wasn't my preferred favorite game. That's for sure. I was actually never able to complete this game, and it still sits installed because I feel like I can't uninstall something until I beat it. So that's why I brought this up, to be like, Rudigs, you should get it and finish it.
I get the feeling it's one of those games when it came out and I saw the performance issues that it was having, the type of game that it was, the gameplay that was involved. I'm glad I didn't buy into it. It initially looked like another version of Monster Hunter through a lot of the marketing, and then it was poor, man. Really poor on launch, especially on console. PC had it a bit better if they had like the overhead power, but it's not going to grip everybody. And like you say, this could be a bit of bait to remind people it exists, and hey, Game of the Year, Game Awards, do you want to nominate us? But it could also just be it hasn't done the numbers that Capcom wanted, like many games, many investors saying, oh, it hasn't done great numbers. If we remember Square Enix earlier in the year saying 6 million copies of Final Fantasy 16 being sold and played wasn't enough. Astronomically stupid thoughts and estimations that these companies have. So it could be them trying to bolster sales, like bring it back into the public, talk about it. I don't know if they've updated it. I don't know if they fixed all of the performance challenges. They may have done, and then the DLC gets people to take another look at it, especially if, like you, it's just there installed on your hard drive. So it could be a really positive thing for them, or maybe just bring people who've lapsed back to finish it. But hey, DLC is good for a lot of people. Why not?
That is true. Agree with that for sure. And then lastly, we have another conspiracy added to the roster here. Just like Black Myth Wukong, PS5 action RPG Antrea is delayed indefinitely on Xbox. Uh-oh. So here's a situation where we start to see another game year after year being released on PlayStation but not released on Xbox. And people are saying it's a conspiracy. They're blocking games. I think when they're blocking games, they're quite obvious about the fact that they're blocking games, similar to what they did with Stellar Blade. They said this is going to be our game, our exclusive. Same with Rise of the Ronin. When we see Baldur's Gate come out on PlayStation and then months later come out on Xbox. When we see Black Myth Wukong released on PlayStation and Xbox still clamoring to try to get it to work. And now we're seeing the same story with the last song. I think this is a Series S version. And hearing the developers, another developer again, say it's been hit with a delay because of trying to get it to work on the Xbox platform to meet the standards. So I think, time and time again, and great balancing, Mr. Dorgon.
This is my tinfoil hat. I don't actually have a tinfoil hat, so I'm just balancing stupidly some very expensive headphones upon my head.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, let's not do that one, eh? I saw both of these this week. There's been a little, as you say, quite a bit of conspiracy around games launching on Xbox recently and being secret PlayStation exclusives. Black Myth being one of them. There's been some heavy reporting, especially from Forbes and Paul Tassai on that one. He's got an insider telling him that it was a secret Sony deal. You've got other insiders saying, well, no, Sony just funded it across the line. Otherwise, the game would never have got made. And you've got others still saying, well, no, it's an Xbox limitation, which it could be all three. It could, but it's most likely the funding and the Xbox limitations, because we've seen it, as you say, with Baldur's Gate 3 before. The two new ones are kind of, they've outwardly said what it is. One of them has said it's the Series S. They can't get it running on that device, so the parity clause that is over on the Xbox side means that for now, in the console world, it is a PlayStation exclusive, which great for PlayStation players. It sucks for Xbox players. These things should be coming out at the same time, but when you've got a grossly underpowered bit of hardware that you have to release it on at the same time, it can be quite difficult. And the other one kind of shocked me more, because they just said, game's ready to go. We've got the Xbox build of it. Microsoft just aren't responding to us. What is going on over there? You've got games launching on your competitor's system, and one of them's ready to go on your system, so it could come out on the same day, but you're not answering them. You're not emailing back. They haven't heard from you in 3 months, so they can't launch the game on Xbox. Like, both sides of the fence have got major issues at the moment. They've got CEOs who are doing an absolutely terrible job, but my days, that one is just embarrassing. Haven't answered an email, so you ain't getting a game, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, so unfortunately we have a he said, she said, nothing official, but I feel, like I said, when they do make it official, they make it obvious that these are exclusives, timed exclusives. We saw this with the Marvel vs. Capcom game, again, released on PlayStation as a timed exclusive. They needed more time, but guess what? As of recently, they announced it's coming in 2025. So I think you can see it as a pattern of devs, and when it happens over and over and over again, it's hard to ignore that when games come out first on the PlayStation and then they take longer to come out on the Xbox, you gotta start calling a spade at that point.
Yeah, very
Unless
much
they're
so. Like I say,
paying for all of these micro exclusivities for a bunch of months to make it look like the Xbox is worse, the effect on the interpreter is still the same. They are either creating this illusion and it is sticking, or the illusion is real.
when you start to see a pattern, you have to ask why that pattern is forming. It's like when we see terrible accusations against public figures, and there's multiples of them. It's not just say, oh, one person with a he said, she said type situation, but 17 people coming out and say they did this terrible thing. You don't get that much smoke without a fire. So when you've got multiple developers, including Game of the Year winning developers like Larian Studios, saying the Xbox Series S is a problem, it's why we can't launch on that platform at the same time as everything else. And then you've got I can't remember what they're called, Science something, the guys behind Black Myth Wukong, these two others that we've got now, and other developers across the board saying, Xbox is a problem to develop for, it's a problem to get games running on, or it's a problem to get games approved on. That pattern, that much smoke, it starts to say, yeah, there's a problem over there. What it means for us on a PlayStation podcast, on the PlayStation players side of things, and definitely for the guys on PC, is that we get more games than other people. But it absolutely sucks because these are not paid for exclusives. Like you said, they're very open and honest, which is one of the only things they're open and honest about at the moment. When they've got console exclusivity, and it will go to Xbox at another time, or Nintendo at another time. So for them to not openly say anything on this, and many developers say, yeah, it's an Xbox issue, it's a Microsoft issue. Microsoft and Xbox really need to take a long, hard look in the mirror, because those gamers should not be suffering and missing out on third-party games and having to wait an unknown infinite amount of time longer to get the same titles as PlayStation. That just should not be happening.
Yeah. But there you have it. Entroi looks very much like a Soulsborne type of game. The Last Song coming out September 19th. 2024 to PlayStation and Steam, later to Xbox. I almost forgot about this one, and I brought it up at the top of the show. Did you know a PlayStation exclusive launched today? And
No,
an
I did not.
actual console exclusive. So
An
they
actual
have
real
said,
exclusive.
but it's not from PlayStation Studios, but this is a game where they say, hey, this is our exclusive. Again, they're not saying it's technical issues, that's why it's not coming to Xbox or delayed release or anything. They're just saying flat out, this game is a game coming to PlayStation. And it is Sun and Bone. And guess what? It arrives right now. Developer Team Kill Media just teased a couple weeks back about its absurd dino slaughtering simulator. Sun and Bone was coming soon. Very, very soon. Seriously. Well, guess what? It dropped today. And you can go check it out right now. This is the dino over the top simulator where you're ripping, tearing through dinosaurs. And this is a console exclusive for the PlayStation. And again, this is something that we know is a console exclusive. They haven't said anything for the Xbox. Kind of looks like VR with that whip, to be honest. But this is pretty cool. I think it's more like that Serious Sam vibe. It's more exploding, high octane, not meant to be super high end graphics. Just get in there, have a good time. More of that retro Doom feel, and then Red Dead Redemption look. So Sun and Bone releases today. Just thought I'd let everybody know on Super PlayStation Bros, because I was surprised myself. Go chop some dinosaur head off, right?
It's not currently available for purchase. That to me would say it's going to be at store reset, which is 6 p.m. here in the UK, so 2 hours from now, as we're talking, that should be available, I would expect.
Yeah, based on this article and based on GameSui, I believe. Gamatsu, I can't remember. But yes, Sun and Bone, check it out, releasing today, PlayStation 5. All right, well, big show, lots to talk about on Concord, new exclusives. Wow, what a one to meet. And not to mention, great participation from chat. You guys are just purely awesome. One comment Wibble said, which cracked me up. We were on that topic longer than Concord was live. I thought that was funny. But you guys have been absolutely amazing today. Doragon, what do you got going on your channel? Let people know. Link in the description below. Also, the Discord for the Super PlayStation Bros. Also in the description below. So be sure to check us out.
I have got lots going on. I actually don't have much going on this evening, which is a nice change for the rest of the week. But I do have a couple of videos that people can go and watch. One, very important, where to get those 4 secret bots in Astrobot in Astro's Playroom before Astrobot launches. That's live on my channel right now. You can go check that one out. All made on the PlayStation 5 system itself. No other equipment used there. Hey. And I've also got a video going over whether xCloud still sucks in 2024. I called it terrible in 2022. Has it improved? Go watch and find out. Would very much appreciate any viewership over there. And of course, as Rudik said, you can come talk to us, the Super PlayStation Brothers, both Rudiks and myself, in the Discord in the description below. That will take you through, and you can find some other content creators there as well if you so fancy. Now, what about yourself, my good man? I hear it's Wednesday. I hear it's family game night, but I hear there's teenagers involved. So that is anybody's guess as whether it's happening.
Yes, but they're back in school now, so they got more of a schedule. So we should be back in live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern for some family game night on the Fortnite. And then other than that, you can catch more Cloud and Console content on Friday for the download in the morning. Until then, be kind, play PlayStation, and be great out there.
Take care, guys. Have a great one. Bye.
Try to believe in me. Why try do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me who finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type but a sick